Hi again everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. I'm here to provide you with another update on what's going on with the current short squeeze status of Vinco Ventures, ticker symbol BBIG or BBIG. I'm currently sitting on a small position of 500 shares which I purchased around the $8.20 mark. However, I have grown increasingly cautious of the stock since last week and doing a preliminary reading of the proxy letter that went out to shareholders. So in this video, I will provide a bit of an update for the stock and discuss what I plan to do with this play moving forward and whether or not I think Vinco Ventures indeed has what it takes to be big. So let's get into it. So to start with, looking at how things played out over the last couple of sessions, we can see that our blue box of short positions we were hoping could get caught up in the short squeeze failed to eventuate, as there's been a slight downward movement following wide market losses on Friday. This also gives a slight haircut to our red squares of legacy distressed short positions. It was unfortunate as the stock was showing signs of rallying again on Thursday, yet it seemed to not be able to hold on to that momentum. It looks like for now my line at about the $7.80 mark has acted as a decent level of support, with the stock not really crossing it with too much conviction. My next lower mark of resistance I think is going to come at the $6.90 point, which is this lower red line. I think if this is breached, there could be a significant gap down, which could potentially see the stock fall back to $6 and then possibly even as low as $3, and could potentially wipe out much of the short squeeze that has been built up in recent trade to date. So updating the chart and zooming out a little, we can see there is still a decent amount of short action, but you can also get an appreciation for the points for where the stock could fall to from the stock gapping down if there is further downward pressure on the market. I think this lower price movement is potentially going to encourage more bearish action for the stock, with many short sellers looking to jump into what they might perceive as a potential opportunity and a degree of panic selling as the stock price retracts further and further. So we are now really starting to see whether the resolve of the retailers pushing for the short squeeze is strong or not. Personally, the $6.90 mark is breached. That will probably be the point where I cut my losses on this one. As you can see with these two purple lines, the last two sessions have created a pattern of lower highs and lower lows that, if this short squeeze effort is to be realized, will need to reverse. The two lines are increasingly converging, which will potentially tighten the Bollinger Bands and potentially force a breakout either way if this trend does continue. The volume of trade has softened somewhat in the last couple of sessions, following on from its most recent rally. As we can see, the last few columns from Friday tell a bit of a bearish story around the stock. However, perhaps in a pleasing sign, there was some strong buying action to close off the session, which potentially means that the lower prices were presenting an attractive entry point for fans of the stock heading into the weekend. I imagine the final 90 minutes of Friday's session was the effect of the much touted expiring options on the stock coming into play. So from a forward-looking perspective, it's probably good to have that event in our rearview mirror, as it gives us a clear pathway for where the stock is going in the future. So as probably can be expected, there was a negative revision in many of the key short data points, which is not surprising given the falling stock price on Friday. However, interestingly, BBIG is now the number one stock short squeeze candidate on Fintel from a purely data perspective. So this could be a bit of a silver lining, as it might act as a magnet to draw in others who are interested in short squeeze efforts. Again, it is pleasing to know that this is still the best short squeeze play at the moment, which I suppose is a testament to the fundamental short data underpinning the effort. In terms of my plan for the stock, I did mention that I have an $8.30 average price position in the stock. I think there is no denying that there is still short squeeze potential with the stock. However, as I spoke about in my last update on Vinco Ventures stock, I am concerned about what the ramifications will be for the BBIG stock if and when Proposal 4 is approved at the shareholder meeting on the 14th of October. There are a lot of warrants at a range of different prices that potentially could dilute the stock ridiculously. I'm not going to say that in a confirming manner, but this is what is getting me a bit worried about the stock. So my plan is to dig into these numbers a little deeper over the next couple of days and try to get some understanding in my head for what this would all mean for the stock from a fundamental value perspective. There are a lot of moving parts, and I fear that many are getting caught up by shiny objects such as the Tide stock spin-off and the mergers and spin-offs that are all taking place with Vinco Ventures, and not thinking about what all of these movements are going to mean for the value of the stock longer term when all these extra shares get issued. So my plan is to at least stay in the short squeeze effort for this week while I try to evaluate what all of the moving parts will do to the company's valuation. I am targeting an exit price of $11, which I know is far less than some of the predictions I'm hearing of the stock being able to go as high as $27. But at this stage, $11 represents almost a 50% upside on the current stock value, which I think is pretty good. We are facing a market that is growing more bearish by the day, and it is a high risk stock. So I do not want to be going into this blindly. However, I want to acknowledge that the meeting and the subsequent vote that will put all the warrant conversions into action is still about 3.5 weeks away. So it is not mega urgent to be across all of this precisely just yet, but I want to start painting myself that picture. If I can come up with a somewhat articulate thesis on all of this, I will try and provide an update around what I think will happen. So keep an ear out for all that. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the stock and the short squeeze play? Do you guys have any price targets that you are aiming for with this stock? Is the short squeeze going to be able to push through all this negative macro environmental conditions we're seeing at the moment? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, may the markets trade in your favour. Cheers.